Welcome to part 9 of my journey through the history of Doctor Who, as I watch and review every episode of the show. In this part, I'm reviewing the 6-part serial The Reign of Terror, another pure historical episode set in revolutionary France, right at the end of the titular Reign of Terror, where the TARDIS team get embroiled in a plot to take down Robespierre. This is our second episode that isn't fully complete. Episodes 4 and 5 of this part are missing, and as such we're treated to our first 2 animated episodes of the 60s era. After having a little fight with Ian, the Doctor insists that they've landed in the 1960s in England, and that Ian and Barbara should leave. After a little exploring, they discover first that they're actually in France, and once they discover a barn with maps and documents, realise that they are in revolutionary France in the 18th century. They're confronted in the barn by 2 rebels, and the Doctor gets knocked out. After soldiers come and the 2 men are killed, they arrest Ian, Barbara and Susan and set the house on fire, leaving the Doctor to die, while the rest of the crew are sent to Madame Guillotine. In the conciergerie prison, Ian is separated from Barbara and Susan, and meets a dying man who tells him he needs to find an English spy, James Stirling, and deliver him a message. Le Maître, the first officer of the prison, overhears part of their conversation. Barbara and Susan are sent to the guillotine, but are rescued on their journey by a man named Jules, the leader of a rebel cell. While this is all happening, the Doctor is woken up, unhurt by the fire, and goes on a lovely walk to Paris. With a little road bump along the way. Ian manages to steal a key to his cell and escape, and ends up finding his way to Jules as well. The Doctor finds a tailor and gets a fancy suit which belongs to a regional deputy, and starts to play the part.
Who is in charge of this prison? Well, speak up, my man.
I am, citizen.
My credentials.
Susan and Barbara are taken back to prison after a physician gives them away, and Ian is briefly kidnapped by the mole in the organisation, Leon, who was also responsible for Barbara and Susan being caught at the physician's. The Doctor is forced to stick close to Le Maître, who is suspicious of him, and barely gets out of a meeting with Robespierre unharmed. After Barbara and Susan are imprisoned again, the Doctor manages to get Barbara out, but Le Maître figures it all out and forces the Doctor to show them to Jules' hideout in a trade for Susan's freedom. We then have a fantastic cliffhanger, where we think the Doctor has betrayed the rebels, and we get to see the cliffhanger twice, first animated and then normally due to episode 4 being missing.
Bull is worse than the devil in hell.
Here they are.
Le Maître.
Your friend has betrayed us.
Le Maître then reveals that he is in fact James Stirling, the man Ian was told to find, and that he has been in France for the last 4 years as a spy. They've been told of a meeting taking place in an inn-house, which will be central to another plot by the nobles to take down Robespierre. Barbara and Ian play the innkeeper and barmaid, and they discover Barras, a politician, is meeting with the famed general Napoleon Bonaparte, and Barras explains the plan to arrest Robespierre at the convention the next day. Jules wants to stop Robespierre's overthrow to a potentially worse dictator, and the Doctor has a good laugh about trying to stop something that they know is going to happen.
Oh, I don't know. Yes, I do. It's this feverish activity to try and stop something that we know is going to happen. Robespierre will be guillotined, whatever we do.
I've told you of our position so often.
Yes, I know. You can't influence or change history. I learned that lesson with the Aztecs.
The events will happen just as they're written.
Ian and Jules make it to the palace just in time for Robespierre to be arrested and dragged out after being shot in the jaw. The Doctor frees Susan, and they all manage to escape without getting involved in the excitement. We get a little funny moment which has become a classic of historical episodes of Doctor Who.
Remember the name Napoleon Bonaparte.
Corsican? Ruling France?
At the end of the episode, which is technically the season finale, we have a lovely little debrief in the TARDIS.
Our lives are important, at least to us. And as we see, so we learn.
And what are we going to see and learn next, Doctor?
But unlike the old adage, my boy, our destiny is in the stars. So let's go and search for it.
The Reign of Terror is a pretty good episode. At the very least, it's entertaining, although I have a feeling you'd enjoy it more than I did if you have an interest in French history. The Doctor's walk to Paris is a fun contrast to the events actually happening in Paris, and I enjoyed him pretending to be a regional deputy in the back half of the episode, something which the First Doctor in particular is quite good at. I also enjoyed the supporting cast. Jules and Lemaitre are memorable and well-acted characters. I only have two real complaints about the episode. First, that the TARDIS team doesn't actually do anything, everything just kind of happens to them, and that second, Susan is just a damsel in distress, and a pretty annoying one at that.
Are you ready? Come on now. Oh, I can't. You go, Bob. Oh, don't be silly. Come on, pull yourself together.
My head's splitting and my back's aching.
All right, Susan.
The animated episodes are actually quite good. The animation is good quality, and they use the tally snaps of the missing episodes as references for the most part, although where a lot of the episode is missing, it does end up being a bunch of headshots one after the other. I'm giving The Reign of Terror an 8 out of 10. It's fun, and I love a good historical episode where the team gets involved in something that they know the results of. It's sad that Susan goes from probably her best moments in The Sensorites to being a bit of an annoyance in this episode, but the Doctor, Ian and Barbara are doing what they do best. It's a nice final episode for the first ever season of Doctor Who. Join me next time as I do a more general review of Season 1, rank the episodes into a tier list, and give my rating for the season as a whole.